Welcome, everyone, to Backstage Pass. I'm Mark Tippin, head of learning experience here at Mural. My co-host is Haley Temple, and for the next 60 minutes, we're going to take you behind the scenes of a teamwork session. We encourage you to use the chat. If you haven't already, please say hello. Let us know where you're joining us from. And also the QA channel. Since this is a webinar, we've got this separate QA channel, and that really helps us keep track of questions as they come up. So please use those too. Great community, share links. I'll be dropping links in there as well. Our goal is to help you gain confidence in using Mural in a wide variety of use cases. And I'm excited in particular about the use case we're going to dig in today with our guest host. We hope that this inspires you to use your facilitation superpowers in new ways with your teams. To help you get the most from today's session, while Ryan is leading us through her amazing work, Haley and I are kind of may go a little meta and kind of back up and point out things if we see a clever use of Mural a feature or a clever facilitation techniques. We'll try and call those out because sometimes that's it's exciting to notice it in the moment and call attention to it so it doesn't just drift away into the ether and we forget about it. All right, let's get started. This is exciting.
Yeah, thanks, Yay. Mark. And thank you, Ryan. We're super pumped to have you here. And Mark, you already have a question from Doris in the QA about music. So I'll let you type that in while we're kicking off here. But
you bet.
So Ryan and I are going to get started with our activity in a moment. And it's all around, we're talking about engagement and building experiences for people when you're connecting in remote spaces. And we want to invite some of you guys, and I'll share my screen. We want to invite some of you to actually participate in today's session. This is about getting practice in Mural with us and connecting with one another in this community. So if you are interested in working in today's session with us, type into the chat all caps yes. And what's going to happen is I'll promote you to a panelist where you can use your audio, you can come on camera, and you'll be participating in today's session. And I'll give you the link to the mural as well. We're not going to give the link to everybody in the chat today because it gets a little crazy, but we want to have some people participating with us today. So with that, I'll let you guys respond with your yeses if you want to participate. And I'm going to hand it over to you, Ryan. Tell us what we're going to do today.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. So today we are going to role play a bit, and we are going to use a tool that some of you might be familiar with that is used really often in service and systems design called a blueprint of some sort, service blueprint, whatever you might put in front of it. And we're going to use it and role play a bit and put on our hats and pretend as if we are planning a virtual birthday party for our dear, dear friend, Ali. And we're going to use this framework to think really deeply about the ways in which engagement over time happens in some sort of gathering, whether that's a meeting or a conference. And today we're going to use a birthday party as that example. And so here's our challenge today. I'll read it. Okay, we need to plan a virtual birthday celebration for our dear friend Ali's 40th year on Earth. So Ali has family scattered all over the world and wants the celebration to be accessible to beloved families and friends, regardless of their time zone. So we're starting to get a bit of a sense of the challenge here. How might they use Mural to create an engaging, meaningful gathering that spans time? And our objectives today are we're going to think really deeply through some elaborate virtual gathering that happens over a period of time. We're going to learn a repeatable collaborative process and framework for prototyping gatherings of any kind, and prototyping meaning building a rough model so that we can test out some of our ideas. And again, this can be used for whatever it is that you might be doing, meetings, parties, conferences. And then we're actually going to together design a prototype of a killer virtual birthday party that Ali, their family, and friends will love. And so that's what we're up to today.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. This is going to be a fun way to practice and experiment. And I did promote some of you who answered yes, that you want to participate, 2 panelists. So if I did that, then you can turn your camera on, say hello, and we also invite you to put your to put your LinkedIn profile in here if you want, so we can keep in touch. But we also want to give some time to get you guys to connect and to get to know one another. And Ryan, why do you like to do this at the start? When you're designing this is a part of it. Tell me more.
Yeah. So one of the many things that is lost when we are remote is the physiological interaction that we have. And while it seems like a nice to have, a lot of the ways in which we trust each other, in which we're able to actually do really hard work, have disagreements, think really hard, is by trusting each other. And so if there is no way to connect with the person on the other side of the screen on a human level, the work's just not as good. And furthermore, it just makes us happier, healthier human beings when we feel connected to people throughout the course of our days and weeks. And so it is really critical from a work perspective, but also from a human perspective, to just have a quick moment to see somebody a little bit more richly than just this tiny, tiny thing on the other side of the screen, because we're not able to detach as easily. And so that's why we're going to do this for just a few minutes.
Awesome. So what I've done is put the link for our panelists who are on camera here into the chat for you. And if you are in the audience, you can still do this activity, but you can open up your own mural and do it. It's always good to practice side by side. So panelists, you guys have the link. Thumbs up if you're in the mural. If not, let me know if you need help.
I saw 2 thumbs up. Yeah.
Sweet. All right, so what I'm going to do is ask you guys to follow me in the mural. So now we are over here in the connection activity. So we're going to create a Post-it in the space below and write your name in it, and then find an icon that represents where you're from and place it in the white space. All right, Ryan, thank you for demoing. I know it's always good to do a show and tell. We were talking about this yesterday. So for those of you who are participating, go ahead and find an open space, add your name, add your icon, and let's rock and roll. I'm going to give us, how much time should I give, Ryan?
I'd say just a minute or so. Pretty quick.
Okay.
So we're talking a little bit about on searching techniques for icons before yeah. So what are some of your strategies for finding the perfect icon?
So I usually start by just searching for what I'm searching for, and when I explain what my icon is, that will become clear in the circumstance. How I do that in part because I tend to be inspired then to search for something else. But you can even see on this mural, there's strange shapes. And Mark and I were discussing earlier how you might just search something like blob or splatter, or just putting in words that are really descriptive and seeing what pops up. And I'd love for you to repeat your example, Mark, of the umbrella one. That was really good.
Oh yeah, it's because the Noun project is what we're tied into through their API, which is fantastic, and it's so interesting to see how someone takes a technique and distills it down into such a simple visual icon. So I was looking for an image actually, but I used the Noun project to try and search on the word kindness. And what I got was a bunch of really interesting icons, and one of them was an icon of a figure holding an umbrella over the head of another figure. And I thought that was such an interesting way to represent it in this simple icon. So I used that as a search terms for an image search, and then I found this ideal icon of an elderly man at a bus stop holding an umbrella over another woman who had this like bright red purse or something with a heart on it and everything. It was like the perfect image, but I wouldn't have gotten there trying to search kindness. I never would have gotten up to that directly, but I got the concept, and then so interesting ways to use
this one. I searched kindness, and there's like somebody giving up their seat on a bus.
Yeah.
The thing is, it grows too. Like every time I go back into the Noun project, I have some go-to searches, and there's always new stuff showing up. So it's not kind of a thing that's fixed in like some of the photo services that you subscribe to, they'll bring on new photographers sometimes, but it's pretty static. It's like you search month over month and you kind of finding the same stuff over and over again. In the Noun project, it seems to really be growing.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Haley.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
How do I add in the LinkedIn profile? Is there a way to add a link to that?
Yeah, so what you can do is if you go to LinkedIn and go to your profile, you can just copy the link.
Oh, I have that. I mean, how to add it to the mural is what I meant.
Yeah. So you can use either right click and press paste, or I use the short keys, so Command or Control V to paste it in. And wherever your cursor is where it'll land. There we go, perfect. And we have Tatiana's as well.
And I have to diagnose,
Right.
There's something, just so people are aware, sometimes the image won't show up, and that has to do with the way you've set your profile visibility on LinkedIn. So if you have it only, certain things only visible to people within your network, the Mural app is kind of considered outside of your network since it's an external source. It's referencing the link. So if you open up your profile or your profile image so that anyone can see it, then it'll show up here. The trick around this is to click on your photo, copy and paste your photo, and then when you paste the photo, you can add a link to that photo, and I just add the link to my LinkedIn profile to my photo. So it's an extra step, but you can end up having effectively the same thing. For example, I'll do that over here so you can see.
All right, so Ryan, we have our icons here. We have our crew here. What shall we do next?
Let's do it. So why don't we quickly finish the activity? So I will start. I know that you guys are still moving around here, but okay, so I am Ryan. Hello, everyone. And as per our discussion recently, the icon I searched for was something related to Long Island, which is where I'm from. And I was envisioning the things that I have in my head already, the beach, maybe the proximity to the city, who knows what. But what popped up, my favorite cliche for Long Island is a Long Island iced tea. And so that is what I chose to put in. And for those of you who don't know, it is a kind of horrible, but you still like it cocktail that I'm not even going to say. It's like tequila and vodka and like Coca-Cola and everything under the sun together. Pack some punch. And then the color I changed it to is actually one of the brand colors for my business. And so I've been really loving that kind of muted salmon. That's where I'm at. Nice to meet everybody. Let's see. Gray, can you go next? Oh, you're on mute.
Gray, you're on mute.
It's okay. Perpetual forgiveness for speaking while I'm muted.
I now have a whole bunch of great little spaces in my icon search because I hit spacebar to unmute myself and I wasn't in Zoom. So my icon was not nearly as imaginative as it should have been, but it's the state of Wisconsin.
There's no wrong icons.
Yeah, it's the state of Wisconsin, and it's basically red because I'm awake. No other reason than that.
Good enough. Love it. Thanks, Gray. Tatiana, could you go next?
Yes. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Yes, my icon, I tap creative. And that's the icon I found, and I love it. It's like a bulb light and like asking some questions, and always curious about everything, and that's me.
I love it. Nice to meet you. Thank you. And was there any significance to the color green?
I believe it's the color of hope, I think.
Mm.
So.
Now I believe that. That's great. Thank you for spreading the love. Haley, you're nearby.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Haley. I looked up kindness, and this one came up, and I loved that it's like the idea of thinking about being kind means thinking about other people and they become part of you. So I just thought that was really beautiful. And I chose the color green, this like forest green, because actually it's the color of my avatar in Mural. And I can change all of my stuff to that to show it's my work. And I just really love this. It's actually my wedding color. So fate, I think, in a way.
That's lovely. Susanna.
Yes, hi. So my icon is representing the area where I'm at. I'm in Riverside, California, and we are triple digits all week.
Oh,
so
yeah.
the red is representing how hot it gets. So
lovely. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you too.
All right. And then we have Mary Jo.
Yeah, that was me. I couldn't figure out how to do the texting. So I just wrote it. And I pulled the travel thing because today I signed up for a virtual tour of Italy.
Ooh.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, what the heck? I mean, that's a cool thing to do. As well as I live near DC and it's a real popular tourist place. So
yeah.
I love it. Well, it's so nice to meet everyone. Thank you so much.
And for Mary and for our audience too, if you are wondering how do I add sticky notes with text, quick tip is double click on the mural and then you'll get a sticky note and you'll see this flashing cursor and you can type your text in there.
What I will say for Mary is that I did figure out the text quickly. It took me a very long time to figure out how to draw anything in there. So I'm pretty impressed.
I was going to say, I was impressed that was your workaround.
Yeah.
The other thing, I love when people do that because visually her signature stands out from all the other visual chaos on the board. Like her signature stands out because it's a human hand element. You know, it's got that personality in it. So I love it. Love seeing more and more people adding the hand-drawn visual elements into things. I think it's it really helps things. Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Really call it out. All right. So let's see. Shall we move down a bit?
Yeah, I will.
Get
what I'm going to do.
What's what?
Yes, I'm going to ask you guys to follow me in the mural. So while Ryan's talking about our topic today, you guys can see what she's talking about.
All right. So in the sake of getting to the work, but having reference documents, if you so choose, we are going to very quickly go into this facilitation blueprinting. But then we're going to actually do it. And then we're going to do it for a while and then come back and dive a little bit deeper into some content around some questions and answers and discussions so that we actually have some context for the things that we'd like to discuss instead of throwing a bunch of information at you and hoping you remember it. So the biggest things to remember here is that this is a way to build rough models of our gathering so that we can envision it over time and test out new ideas for activities. And I want to just call attention to the idea that this is something that is used really often in service design. And it's an adaptation of a very simple framework called a service blueprint. There's more information on that on the side, but it's a way to deeply understand sequential actions and experiences and layered actions. And then through the idea of prototyping. So again, like making sure that if you're thinking about a gathering that really matters to you, whether in work or in your personal life, prototyping it or testing it out before you go the whole enchilada is just going to make it a better event. And so this is a tool to really do that. And so there's three main parts to this tool. The first is the timeline. And so you might remember that our challenge is for our lovely friend Ali. He has family across time zones. There is no point at which any one family or the whole group of family members can be online at the same time. So we're going to have to split the party up over time. And so here we have any preparatory work or any prep by the guests or by those of us planning the party, the first session, whatever that is, intersession, things that happen between the first session and the second session, and then the second session. And then the column here that starts with participant action, kind of on the bottom left there, that's the experience layers. And so that's where we're getting in a little bit deeper to who is doing what, how are things interacting, and allowing us to say what we're doing over time. Oh, that's so cool. I didn't even know you could do that. Haley?
Yeah, that's hold the X key and hover over an element.
Oh, I love learning new things. Okay,
Pro
great.
tips.
That is
Yeah.
really pro. Wow. Okay, that blew me away. All right. So here we have participant actions. So we'll change that, of course, to fit our context. We're not going to call our party guest participants because that's lame. And then below that, we're going to say the tool or process that the participant is going to be using to engage with this event or gathering. The facilitator action, again, will be hosts in this context. We'll change it to that. And then any support actions. And so that brings me then to, if we could zoom back out to the line of visibility, which is one of the critical parts of this framework, which separates the things that your participants or your guests will actually see and engage with, tools, processes, and then your own behaviors and words, from the things that are happening behind the scenes that makes all those things possible. And the general analogy that's used here is the theater, right? So in a play, you have what the audience sees, you have the actors, the props, the stage itself, but then you have everything that's happening behind the scenes, set design, lighting, everything else. And so that's how we think about this. And that's really as much as I'd like to go into it for now. Did you want to talk about anything else, Mark or Haley, before we dive in?
Well, yeah, I have a birthday coming up next year, and I'd love for you to. Nothing against my last.
Do it.
Yeah, nothing against my last birthday. It was fine, but I see epic scaling opportunities here.
Any clarifying questions from Susanna, Tatiana, Mary, Gray? This makes sense so far?
Yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes with this.
All right. Perfect timing.
Yeah. So I want to stop on the way up to our remote facilitation design checklist.
I'm going to follow you. There we go.
Oh, great. Okay.
And I'm going to summon everyone over here.
And so before I get into any event, I try to just have this little checklist. It's kind of like a surgeon's checklist, except no one dies, obviously, if I forget to use it. But really high level, it just reminds me to include things in my blueprint. So I'm kind of referencing back and forth. All right, did I make sure that I included buffer time, writing any scripts that I might need to write, or any plans for technical difficulties? Contingency plans are your unbelievable best friend. I cannot tell you how many times I have had to rely on them. Next, have you created some experience, whatever that is, to onboard your participants to the tools that they're going to use in your session or your party or whatever? And like shameless plug here, we do have workshops on that if you're interested in going deep and nerding out on that with me. Have you created some experience where your participants are going to really connect and humanize in some way, similar to the little activity that we did? And then you, of course, gauge your activity and the level of connection to the level necessary for whatever engagement you're doing and work you're doing with those people. And then just a quick note on, making sure that you have your technology transitions and host handoffs really nailed down there. And that's high level. That's it. Now,
I was going to suggest too. There's so many examples about being with Mural. I always get into the trap of it's got to be something clever I'm doing in Mural with notes and stickies, and so I've seen like Dana Mitroff Silvers is a friend of ours, friend of Mural, and she comes from improv, and she's got all these activities that you can use. To kind of augment something you might do visually in Mural with these improv exercises, these listening and, activate. And she has this one beautiful tip if you're going around the room and, you've got, say, 20 people and you want, say, I'll go and then I pick Ryan and then Ryan has to pick someone who hasn't gone. It's fine for 2 or 3, but then people start getting a bit panicky, like, ooh, I don't know. I'm just meeting you. I don't know your name. So she had this great trick that she used for things is like whenever it's time to pick, she said, okay, everyone who's been picked, hands on your head. So everyone that has gone, and then in Zoom, it becomes really easy. And it also creates another reason for why you should be on camera for the more shy among us. But I think that's why I'm a big collector now of these kind of balancing out the visual in mural stuff with kind of the easily accessible, fun, verbal stuff as well. So.
Yeah, I love that. And we could talk about that for a long time because I'm really interested in the psychology of rituals. And a lot of times, to your point just now, also the idea of why do I need my camera? Monitoring your behavior is not a good reason, right? So there needs to be an actual reason. Why is it? And so if you're like, oh, I need it for this, discussion. And the visual of us seeing, even on those tiny screens, a group of us having the same physical action clicks something in our brain that makes us relate to that person more. Is it completely unfair? Does that person warrant trust? No, but our brain does it. And so it's a great trick to have people doing the same hand gestures or, taking a sip of their tea at the same time or whatever that is. It's also a really nice, subtle form of human connection that brings us all closer together for no real reason.
That's right.
I love it.
We did yoga as a warm up one time. Everyone had to do a different stretch. And I was like, oh man, was that socially awkward
fun
to begin with?
Yeah.
Like people were like, are we really going to do this? And by the end, it was like so amazing. Everyone was totally into it. And it was the most activity I had that day. So
it was nice to get up and move for sure.
Yeah, it is. Moving. All right. So let's dive into this. All right. So let's take some time to get to know our dear friend Ali, who we know very well, but one of us took the time to do a little interview with Ali, get some nice quotes there in orange, and just some important details about what are their goals, what are their motivations, how do they think about their birthday, how do they think about the world and the people they love. So I'm going to give, what did we say, Haley, like 4 minutes to read through just the stuff on there. And I'll let everybody do that silently because that's boring listening to me read it aloud.
Yeah, sure thing. So let me set the timer here for 4 minutes. And in the meantime, I think we did have some questions in the chat for you, Ryan. Actually, one was about using this services style facilitation blueprint for organizing like classroom experiences or youth experiences.
Oh,
do you have examples of that, or what other ways have you used this blueprint?
Yeah, so I actually have one client that is a school. It's an after-school program for middle and high school students for Model UN, debate, those kinds of things. And for the individual classes, and I'll actually talk about this when we go deeper, you really don't need one unless the class is really complicated or very long. You use this in conjunction with your agendas and your more traditional tools. When this is really helpful is when you're looking at things over time. So if you're, for example, saying, okay, I want to look at homework in between sessions and I want to look deeply because we're going to have a guest speaker and like those kinds of things, that's where you use it. And it often is helpful because you're managing multiple technologies in the classroom. Maybe you're lucky enough that you just need, your Google Classroom or whatever that is. But most of the teachers that I work with are using, Padlet, they're using Mural, they're using Google Classroom, they're using Zoom. And a lot of kids in particular are very new to this level of online engagement. And so having real intention behind the way that you support them, the words that you use in transitions, where you're directing people, those kinds of things, it is really critical. I'll stop talking about that, but yes, you can absolutely use it in classes.
Okay, great. That was my hunch, but I did respond like, yeah, I think you could use this for any type of event.
Thank you. Yeah,
if you had examples, that's great. Cool.
Yeah, sure, Cecilia. Thanks for the question.
Any other questions? If you guys have them, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll keep answering them throughout the session. I put some great links in there, for example, about Ryan's facilitation training, our mural gifts that we have sprinkled throughout this mural. So lots of different stuff in here.
Yeah, there are a lot of questions about how to make animated GIFs, so I've answered a few questions about that.
Nice.
Really, I think our design team was they do all this kind of cell-based animation stuff, I believe, in Photoshop. So I'm sharing links. There's a great tutorial online about how to do it, but and the avatars as well. I believe your Mural avatar, it will accept an animated GIF. So sometimes you'll see the little avatar at the bottom is doing something. So that's power user tip. I don't think any of ours are, but
No, that'd be fun though.
that'd be fun.
I love them. I special requested the gifts for today, so
yes,
you're welcome, everyone.
They're just so cute.
Yeah. Well, be aware though that I've had a real mixed reaction if they're overused. It is one of those things if you've done web design and you've used these tools and you kind of you're like, oh, that's a text box, that's an animated GIF, it's just another file. For other people, they get really confused by lots of cursors on the screen. When they see everyone's cursor and they see an animated GIF, they're like, what's real, what's clickable, what's not, what's Zoom, what's Mural, so just be aware, not every audience is enthusiastic about a lot of motion going on the screen. Just
Yeah, and there's also, gosh, I remember when we first started using Mural and different like large formats, people getting, and Prezi, I'm sure people remember this from this idea of like screen motion sickness. It's a thing.
Yes.
It's a thing.
Prezi for sure.
So you can always refer back to this if you haven't finished reading it, that's totally fine. But I just really wanted us to get into the meat of who Ali is as a human being, not just someone who needs a birthday party. And so we are now going to spend a little bit of time ideating. And so for those of you who are in the design thinking or human-centered design world, this will be familiar. For those of you who are not, it is a different term for brainstorming. And so that's all we're going to be doing. And we're not going to be completionist about this. We're going to spend a little bit of time per question and hope that we're getting enough ideas that we can just pick 3 at the end that we're going to probably move forward with. So let us start silently. And any ideas you have for how we might do these things, just start to write one word. And we'll do this for 1 minute and then we'll come together.
You reminded me of one of those improv exercises. I really appreciate what Dana's done because not only are they just fun to do, but they actually cue up the way your brain needs to work for certain exercises. Like there's one I've seen it in other contexts, but 5 things.
Yeah.
And so you do this rapid fire, name 5 things that you use in your backyard, and you go around and like people have to, and what it does is it's almost like mental gymnastics for that type of exercise. And there's another one where you have to have a dialogue, but the first letter of the first word in your sentence and reply has to be the last letter and the last word of what the person said to you. So you can't be like thinking of your own thing. You actually have to be 100% focused down to the last letter and then be thoughtful. And that's wonderful before you do something like, a user research kind of activity where you really have to be thoughtful and you're listening.
Yeah. No, I love it. I could talk all day about mental preparation and the things that we need to do to be in the right mind space, because nobody wants to come out of a budget meeting being told ideas, like give them to me
be
now.
Creative.
Your best stuff. Yeah, exactly. And you're like, no, not happening.
No.
So I love these. So I'm going to read some of these aloud and then let's just try to yes and each other, meaning let's just try to get a couple more on built or inspired by the ideas that we're already seeing. This is verbal. Please go take your mute off. This is a conversation. So under how we might make Ali feel like they're eating a meal with their loved ones. So pick the same meal that everyone's going to eat. Food deliveries for every participant. Recipe sharing. Use Google Street View to take people to the grocery store or restaurant. These are great. Anything else inspiring people as we're reading through?
So I would have a question about the time zones. because everybody's in different time zones. So kind of being mindful of that and figuring out how to incorporate the time zones in there.
Yeah. So what is an idea that you have for incorporating the time zones? How might we do that?
Maybe, because it may be like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, there's specific food that goes to that region for that specific meal.
I love it. Awesome. Thank you. All right. How might Ellie discover new music at their birthday party? Create a playlist in Spotify just for the party, fully customized, a theme playlist. I love it. Anything else? What about maybe like actual time during the party where people are searching for music together?
Or karaoke.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love it.
That'd be awesome.
Love it. All right. Then we have, how might family and friends sing happy birthday to Ali all at once? Ooh, here we have record everyone singing happy birthday in their native language and play it. A song bomb. I love it. Have everything translated in both languages. And then we have one idea coming in. Sing happy birthday more than once. Teach each other the languages. Record ahead of time. Love it. How might we bring Bubbles and Killer, who are Ali's pets, into the celebration? A GoPro. I love that.
What would the GoPro, like, tell me what that would look like.
I don't actually know if it would work. I just know that people tend to strap GoPros to all kinds of things.
Yeah, we can
So
test this.
I could see there must be a harness for a dog, and it would be interesting to have a dog's view of the birthday party, like playing through.
Totally.
Yeah. For the sake of today, I'm just going to go with that happens and it works and we're going to do it. Good. All right. And then we have no idea.
Prototype it and let us know.
Oh, okay. I'll let you know.
I love it.
3D printing process.
All right. So this is more than enough for us to work with. And now we need to do a little bit of voting. Haley, did you want to set that up?
Yes. So what we're going to do is start a voting session for you guys to select some of these ideas that will carry into the blueprint. So I'll start the voting session. I'll set it up. Into the blueprint.
All right. And we're going to take the top 3-ish and then bring them down.
So should I give everyone 3 votes then?
Yeah, 3 is fine. Yeah.
All right, so I'll click next, and then what you guys will see is a prompt to start the voting session. So click one of the sticky notes to vote, and then if you wanted to change your vote, you can hold Shift and then click again on that sticky note to remove it. And all votes are anonymous in Mural with the voting session feature. I'm going to give everyone a minute to do that. Just review, reflect, and super bonus, as the facilitator, I can see who is voting. So Gray has cast 2 votes already. Mary is done, locked in. Tatiana, Susanna, gosh, we had like some quick decision makers in here. And then, yeah, I'm not going to vote. Mark, and since we're facilitators, I don't usually vote.
I'm actually on a little side quest here. I found PetCube, which is a wireless webcam. It's $200, so it ain't cheap, but it's a little thing. Bolt it onto your pet and have that stream right into your Zoom.
I mean,
there's a market for it.
On pets, it's not much.
That's awesome.
Did you all had 3 votes? Because I only had 1. I don't know why.
Oh.
Yeah.
Tatiana, that was you, right? You said that?
I just had 1. No problem.
No, it's okay.
Are you sure?
It just says 1 when you click on it, different buttons. Yeah, mine did too.
Okay.
But let me only
but
select.
I just had the 1 and then 0 votes left.
Oh,
That's
maybe
it.
because I
had a super vote.
Yeah. So when you start the voting session, as soon as you click on something, it will think that it's marking the vote. So do you see where your little numbers are, like the 1, 2, the ones are?
I just had a big 1 in one post-it that I touched.
Oh.
You can verbally vote, Tatiana. If there's something, you have a veto now. You have been given veto power.
I really like to ask this question, but because it happened in one of my workshops also with one of the participants, especially. I don't know why. I never got the answer, and I said, "Don't worry."
Yeah, so I'm curious to see what it says you voted on, and Mark, I'll let you explain.
It was the Serenata. And it was a big one.
Interesting. So there's something that was voted on here that it might have been the area. So
5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah.
So the thing with Mural, and our team is also working on this right now, is when you vote right now, you can vote on anything in the mural. So that's including areas, images, text. So you might have accidentally, and this is like not your fault either at all, it might have counted you clicking on this white surface as a vote. So that's why when you start a voting session, you have to be very explicit with your participants about what to click on. But we are working on a voting mechanism that reduces that error.
Right, and if you click multiple times on something, which we don't enforce any hard and fast rules. It's usually the facilitator can say, look, you have 3 votes. I need you to pick something from column A, B, and C, or you can use them however you want. You can put 3 votes on one thing you like. You can put 2 on one and 1 on the other. So it's really the facilitator can set the ground rules. But if someone accidentally votes twice on something, if you hold the shift key down and you click again, you'll get that vote back. So, but again, this is all part of the brief, and even doing like a little test voting on something that doesn't count with a group early on in the session is great, because it is like once you see it, you're like, oh, I get this. I understand how it works. But if you've never done it before, even with the coaching screen that comes up, it's a new experience. It's not a big learning curve, but once you experience it, you're like, I get it.
That's really helpful tip. Thanks, Mark.
Sure.
Yeah,
So,
thanks for the question, Tatiana.
Yeah, the common one. So what I did was we had actually 4 top ideas.
Love it.
So I took those and I duplicated them so we didn't lose our work up here. And now they are over here on the virtual birthday party V1. So we're ready to roll.
All right. So what we're going to do is let's set a timer for about 8 minutes. Haley, I'm just conscious of time.
Yeah, thank you.
And what we're going to do is start doing this together for 3 or 4 minutes. Then I'm going to give you another 2 minutes or so to go wild just as individuals to start filling it out a bit so people can kind of see it expand. And then we'll finish with a short 1 to 2 minute discussion. We will not be finishing this today. We're just getting started. Then I'm going to talk a little bit more about some just tips and tricks that you might use in your own work with us. So here we have incorporating time zones by giving specific food that goes to that region for that specific meal. A serenata with real mariachis in Mexico, so fun. Sing happy birthday more than once, teach each other the languages, and GoPro with selfie stick tracked onto pets with harness. So let's start with just how are we going to make this GoPro with selfie stick strapped onto pets with harness fit into this party? How are they going to be members? What prep might we have to do? And I want to call out here that I changed all of the titles here, right? So prep is party prep. Session 1 is party part 1. Then we have our async party, asynchronous, and then kind of party part 2. And then under here we have Ali. What is Ali doing? The guest. What is the guest doing? What tool or process are they using? What is the host doing? That's us. We're the big host party. And then what support actions are we doing? So in terms of prep, what needs to be happening here? Who needs to be doing what when it comes to this dog, pet, camera stuff?
Do we just say it or we type it in?
Just say it, yeah.
Purchase a camera.
Purchase camera. All right. So I am typing down harness. Here, purchase camera and harness. Okay. That's a support action. What does Ali need to do?
Tell the animals that they're going to.
Right. They need to receive it and strap it on.
Provide some time to test it with the things.
Yeah. Some and then test it. Great. All right. Is the guest doing anything here?
I think you should tell the guests, like depending on how they're going to interact with the dog or whatever, that having a Zoom account would be handy, just so they're aware.
Okay, so how are they going?
That there's going to be something there.
Okay, great.
Maybe they could go live, like streamline whatever the dog is seeing in real time. So you have an application where you can watch in real time what they're doing.
I love it. Is that during the event that's happening? That's during the party, correct?
It's like the backstage pass. So even when preparing for the party, you have a glimpse of the organization.
I love it. And so the guest is watching Killer and Bubbles on live stream during the event, correct? All right. So the tool process is live stream.
I didn't name a tool specifically. I don't know. Do you guys what specific tool, if any?
So you can use a YouTube channel, a private room or something.
Yeah, love it. Cool. And what is the host doing? I think, Gray, you started to get into this with what the guests might need to be experiencing.
Well, they just have to know how to log into it. And some people would be like, oh, yes, I know how to find that. And other people would be like, wait, what is YouTube live stream? So having that spectrum.
So I propose like a group in WhatsApp or something where you can arrange some technical issues really fast. It's just your uncle that cannot. Sorry?
Marco Polo, I think that's the app that I've heard about. I haven't used it, but where a lot of people are using video to get together with people real easily.
All right. So we need a little research that we need to do. So check out kind of different tech here. All right. And so, Gray, you were also referring to something else. Like would you want to tell people in advance, you said?
Yeah, I think that it would be good to let people know, like maybe in the invitation, say, by the way, we're going to be hooking up these guys to Marco Polo. So if you want to talk to the dogs, you should download the app here or something like that.
Okay. So in the invitation, we want to talk about the live stream. Is there any other information that needs to go into the invitation? Support actions? No, Mary, you're on mute.
You might also need a back channel to have somebody ready to go with tech during the party, just in case people get bumped off or don't know how to work their system.
Great.
So like either WhatsApp or Slack channel.
And maybe be aware that you're going to be using your camera during the party, because not everyone is comfortable to use it.
Right. So we need to write out instructions for Zoom or video. Let's see. Can you zoom a little bit in on that one post-it?
Yeah.
So here we're starting to get into some of the support work that we have to do. What else is going to go into the invitation? So thinking back to, all right, we have incorporating the time zones by giving specific food that goes to the region for that specific meal. A serenata with real mariachis, sing happy birthday more than once, teach each other the languages. What else needs to go into this invitation for prep?
I would say the translation of the happy birthday in the different languages.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe a YouTube video of where those are, people singing in that language so they could try and sing along.
Yeah.
Clear time zone.
A good tool for that, by the way, if you're thinking about time zone, factoring is World Time Buddy. It's a really helpful one. Lisa in the chat for prep said sending a save the date or like an
save the
invitation
date.
of some sort.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe there's a save the date and an invitation.
It's super far out in advance or something.
And so here the guest is just going to receive the save the date, right? And I'm assuming RSVP.
Yeah.
And then in the invitation, what's the guest going to do? Anything in response?
They need to sing and send it in.
Yeah. So send in like party prep. And so that's record, yourself singing happy birthday, send it to hosts. Anything else? And so far, Ali is not really doing anything.
I would say probably whomever the host will be putting that, all those videos together.
Yeah. Okay. So put together happy birthday videos.
From the chat, I see someone saying share the theme, which will bring in engagement and exciting, excite people. So
yeah. And so Ali is deciding the theme?
That's what I put.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's up to us. That's up to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, the host is deciding the theme, isn't it?
Yeah. The host or the birthday person.
Yeah.
We can do it either way. Both are good. We just have to design it.
You can pick the theme. It's his birthday.
Okay, Ali's got it. All right. So I want to be conscious of time here. So I'd love a quick discussion with our current group. What questions do you have so far about this, and what are you noticing?
That we can go everywhere. We could be in prep and then go to the process and mix with what Ali is doing. So there is no like sequential thing. It's more iterative.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I love it. Beautiful phrasing, Tatiana. Thank you. Yeah. What else are you noticing about this process?
We need a project manager.
Definitely will make the birthday party better. Yeah. What else? What else are you noticing about this?
I think it's allowing you a lot of thought to not only the birthday person, but the guests and what you need to do that, as well as the host and all those details that may get lost in the process normally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Anything else that's standing out to you?
I personally am seeing a shift from just tell me what to do to actually engaging me in yes and oh, we could do this, and like you got me searching for wireless pet cams online and stuff. I mean, it's just like all of a sudden this like someone's birthday turns into a collaborative way for all of us to contribute in something where our interests and our ability to add value is included. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks, Mark. I think something that gets really overwhelming when you're designing anything with complexity is that there are layers and layers and layers of brainstorming that you have to do. What is the big activity? Which tool are we going to use? How might we do that? Is there extra research that has to happen? And using tools like this allows you to have it be kind of separated and more granular in places that are easier to access over time and later. So for example, all right, we weren't quite sure, what should this be? Should it be YouTube? Should it be something else? What other tech might we need? And so now we're able to say, all right, I think we landed on YouTube, but then down here in support actions, which we know we'll refer back to, all right, we need to kind of check out some different tech here. And it's a reminder for us to say, okay, yeah, we'll go back to that. Okay, in the last few minutes, I want to just quickly bring us back down to the sample. You guys covered a couple things, but just to show you some different ways of doing this. So here's a sample of a blueprint that I created for a virtual workshop design series. And there's a couple of things I want to call out. So we already talked about this. So number one over here is that you change the timeline and the columns to suit your needs, right? This is kind of whatever it is. It's not pre-work workshop. It's whatever you need it to be. Number two, and you know what? I actually have these down here. Oh no, wait a second. What happened to those?
I also wanted to flag, we do have a couple, I know we're running out of time. I just let people know in the chat, we've asked, as we always do, for feedback. Feedback is a gift and we take it very seriously. And we really appreciate it. the program improves, and we continually iterate based on what we hear from you. So give us two things. One, quickly a number, 1 to 10, on your overall satisfaction, and a sentence why. And we also have a few questions in the Q&A panel. They're a little more about process and less about the details of what the exercise was.
Okay, great.
But I thought, so the first question is from Lisa. It says, what's the largest number of attendees that you used in the blueprint? So like, could this work for scale up to like 500? Yeah.
So I would say it depends on how many either facilitators or group leaders you have. So for a group of 7, 1 blueprint is that is a solid thing. If you then were able to have multiple murals and have people switch into them and have somebody who knows how to do it, that's how you would scale it, not having that large number of people on 1 mural.
Right. Irene wants to know, do you have a special process for coming up with those ideation how might we questions? Because I know some people struggle with that. Like, how do you do that? Do you have a magic trick?
I'm actually really horrible at how might we. So it's one of the things I worked really hard on. There's some really great resources on there for how to do it, but thinking about analogies, like how might we make it like a wedding? How might we make it like a birthday party for a 4-year-old? And just keep practicing and failing. I think the beautiful thing about how might we is you get to be like, all right, nobody wanted that one, next. And so over time, just seeing which ones actually land, teach you how to do it better. But I really relate that those are tough for me.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a tactical question. People were really, I think, feeling a bit of panic. They're like, whoa, what if I needed more room in that column? What if I ran out of room? How would I manage that mural? What's your...
Yeah, so you just make the posted smaller, right? The beauty, of course, of Mural is scale, and you can just, can you show Haley how to kind of click on 2 or 3 and just make them smaller, and that's all we do.
So yeah, and I'll suggest another one too. So yeah, you can make sticky notes bigger or smaller like this, and you can make a bunch of them smaller. You can also take this canvas and drag it out longer and wider, so you have more space to work with. So there you go. Lots of options.
Cool. And one question that came up many times is this a template that you might be willing to share with folks?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay, good. I want to put you right on the spot in front of everyone and say, Ryan, you going to share this?
I was like, no, this is proprietary.
No. Any delete screen captures you might have taken during the session? Yeah.
I just popped the template that Ryan made into the chat, so you guys have it, and I'll put it in the when I share the recording, I'll add it there as well. So we want to make sure you guys have these tools to set yourself up for success. And this template has all these links to different resources that Ryan is sharing, like her book she's working on right now. So super exciting stuff that's coming for Ryan and for just our community. So I want to be mindful of everyone's time, and thank you so much, Ryan, for joining us today. Thank you guys, Mary, Gray, Susanna, Tatiana, for joining us as well. I'm going to throw some confetti for us here.
Nice.
And we hope you have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you back here at Mural Backstage Pass. Same time, same place, new topic.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
All
right.
Thank you,
Have
guys.
a good weekend, everyone.
Thanks
Nice
so
to
much.
meet you all.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.